All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Health and Wellness Summit. As you probably know by now, my name is Courtney Miracle. I am the host. Today, I am with my friend Montella. Montella. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was thinking about her last name. I'm going to do this every time. Montana Aiello. Seriously, we were just talking about the human language, you guys, before we got on and how silly it is because it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, Montana, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and share a little bit about my journey. So thank you.
I love this. So I met Montana before she sort of started down this journey, and I've seen this beautiful expansion and development of you and just like all the things you've stepped into. So I'm so excited for you to talk a little bit about your story, share how you're serving and how you're helping the world. So why don't you start with a little bit of your story, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I really struggled with anxiety and depression basically my whole life. And when I got onto this journey, I was really just figuring out how to cope with it. And I really wanted to get rid of it. And now I understand that it's not about getting rid of it. It's about integrating it and loving yourself through it, because the truth is my anxiety and depression is still here and it's not going away anytime soon. And I've really just developed a whole different relationship with this part of me. And I really did that through breath and sound and movement and really being comfortable and feeling confident in my body, because that was a really big thing for me too. And I felt like I didn't feel safe in my body. I didn't feel safe to move. I didn't feel safe to breathe or speak my truth. And really going into this journey, I've just had so much compassion for myself and so much just like grace. And yeah, it has been a beautiful roller coaster.
Right, as is life, right? So can you dive a little bit deeper, because I know now you're helping other women with these same things. So a lot of times what we think when we're talking about our health and our wellness and anxiety and depression, it's like, I just want to get rid of it, right? I just want to push it away. I want to make it go away. So talk a little bit more about how you integrate with your clients of like, it gets to be a part of you and you get to change the relationship. So like, how do you walk somebody through something like that?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I really just like to get to the bottom of why you want to get rid of it and what do you think you're going to benefit from getting rid of this thing, and where do you think it's going to go? Right? Like for the longest time, I'm like, I just want to get rid of this. I don't want to feel this. And it's like, and then when I started thinking about it, I'm like, but where is it actually going to go? Because if I don't want to feel it and I just push it down, it's going to get stuck somewhere in my body and it's not going to go away. We get to just work with these parts of us, because I believe anxiety is data. It's teaching me something. It's my body's way of communicating, hey, I need this right now. I need to feel safe right now. I feel like I'm rocking the boat and I don't feel safe to rock the boat, right? Maybe it's speaking my truth. Maybe it's sharing a part of my story, and just that anxiety is just there. But it's not about getting rid of it. It's about listening to it and letting it be there and working with it, because that's where the transformation happens.
Yeah, I love that. And I know we talked before, and you talked a little bit about feminine and masculine energy, and that you spend a lot of your time in your wounded masculine. I'm core masculine, so you guys don't know a lot about masculine. Feminine energy. Feminine is a lot more flowy, a lot more feeling. Masculine's a lot more fixing, right? And so, like when you were in your wounded masculine, I assume you were trying to fix it, right? Like, I got to fix this, because when I fix this, then this thing is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see with a lot of your clients, once they start to sort of open up to the being and like the movement, right? All of that is feminine. Like, what kind of shifts do you see in them when they start to accept that this can be part of their story?
Oh my God. I feel like they have more life to their faces, right? Like I just feel like they're just at peace with where they are, and realizing that like everything they're going through is all a part of them.
Yeah.
Realizing that like there's nothing wrong with them. They're perfect, they're human, and it's such a gift to be able to experience the entire range of emotionality. And by just sitting with all of that, that's your feminine. By just being in that energy of just like, okay, it's here for me, and what can I learn from this? And yeah, like more life to their face is really what I want to say. And just like they're
Yeah.
brighter, they feel lighter, they have more energy, they're sleeping better, whatever the thing is. But
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. Like it's more life, right? And so many people are just like we got taught not to feel. So it's like we just want to be happy, but we don't know how to feel happy. And it's like it's because we're not feeling sad or we're not, we're not like we're not believing that any of those things get to be there, right?
Oh,
And so coming through that and I are you still doing your daily videos that you were doing forever?
I'm not daily, but I'm pretty frequently, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And if you guys go back, if you follow Tana on social and you go back and see that, like you see the progression in her, right? And I did the same thing. Like I had people and they're like, there's something different about you. And it was like, I'm just actually happy. Like, but I had to go through the stuff, right? So for somebody that's dealing with anxiety and they're like, but I just want to get rid of it, how do you so you talked about breath and movement and sound, how do you integrate those things together, and can you give the listeners any kind of tips that they could maybe do themselves if they're not really sure yet if they're ready to work with a coach, or how to kind of step into that piece?
Yeah. So the biggest tip, the biggest thing that really helped me shift my anxiety, I would always say I am anxious and identify with the anxiety. The anxiety is not me. You are not the anxiety. This is simply something you're experiencing, and just giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to fully experience it. Because one of the things that I learned in this journey is you can't pick and choose what emotions you want to numb and not feel, right? If you want to not feel this anxiety or this depression and you choose to numb or distract yourself or whatever, you're denying 50% of your 50% of your human experience. We're here to be fully human and feel everything. So getting to a place of shifting, like I am experiencing a sensation of anxiety and not identifying with it, that is my that I start all of my clients there, because it's so important. Because if you're identified with the anxiety, you have no space between you and the thing you're feeling to just be you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when it starts to become who you are, right? Like you hear that all the time, I am anxious. No, you're not anxious, you're just feeling sensations of anxiety. So anxiety is a sensation, it's an emotion. So talk about how you use movement to move that energy for people. Like what do you teach them? How do you do it for yourself? What does that look like?
Yeah. So whenever I'm feeling it, I really like to just sit down, and I really just like to put my hands on my heart or wherever I feel the anxiety. Usually for me, it's really in my chest. And I'll just sit there and I'll breathe into this part and I'll just ask, like, what do you need right now? How can I love you more? And I'll put on maybe a slow song or something and just like sway to the music and let the music and my body kind of do the work here, and just like telling myself, like, I'm safe to feel this. I am safe to be in the thick of this, even if it's uncomfortable, even if I don't like it in that moment, right? And then really just using my breath and allowing my breath and my movement to go with the music to be able to move the energy, because emotion is just energy in motion, and if we push it down, it's not moving and it's getting stuck. So really just leaning into the uncomfortable part and leaning into that sensation and using breath, sound, and movement to be able to move that energy, that's my process.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's so cool of just like we feel like we have to be in this box, right? I don't get to move. And that's masculine, right? That's wounded masculine of like, I have to be this thing, I have to be in this box, where it's like, well, what would it feel like to let it move? Right. And when you start to change the stories, like once you don't identify with it, and I know you teach your clients, right? Then we shift that story of like, I'm not my anxiety. And well, what if I just let it go? Right. Or what if I change the story of it? Right. Like I used to like nervousness and like anxiety wasn't a big thing for me, but I had it in certain aspects. And I was like, well, what if that's just excitement? What if I move that energy and now it's excitement, right? And so then it shifts and you get this like beautiful opening. And so when you do a lot of breath work, and then I know you do coaching with it. Are you doing sort of integrative breath? Are you doing meditative breath? Like what's your favorite breath to guide your clients through and to teach them how to use this in their daily lives?
So I really like meditative breath sessions just because they're very co-created and they're very tailored to what you need. I use integrative breath for myself every morning and every night before I go to bed, because my day is just better when I start my day
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like when I breathe in the morning, I'm starting my day with a clear mind. When I breathe before I go to sleep, I'm clearing my day. I'm not taking that to bed with me. I'm not taking whatever happened in that day to sleep with me, because then it's going to just trickle into the next day. So yeah, I like to do both, but my jam is definitely meditative sessions.
Okay. Okay. So give us a little bit, what does a meditative breath look like? Like when you're helping a client, what's the process, right? People are like, breath work, I don't really know. Like it's getting more popular, and obviously in our circle it is, but like explain to somebody, walk somebody through what does a breathwork session look like, and kind of what are some of the outcomes that your clients have?
Yeah, so integrative sessions are for relaxation and meditative sessions are for transformation. So what does that mean? Basically, when you go into a meditative session, we go in to heal a part of you or to look at a part of you, to have awareness around this part of you. So when you're breathing consciously and continually into these parts of you, your body holds your memories, your body holds your emotions, your body holds the things that you've pushed down. So when we breathe into these parts, we have the ability to almost like complete stress cycles by breathing into these parts of us that we didn't feel safe to feel when we were younger or whenever that situation happened. So a meditative session, it's so different, and it's different every time, and it's different with every person, but it allows you to come back home to yourself. And I didn't understand what that meant until I experienced it, because I'm like, oh no, I am home. What do you mean? Like, how can I not be here? Right.
Right.
And then when I got there, I'm like, oh, you mean I haven't been here the whole time? Okay, now I
Right.
understand.
I've been out here. Yeah, right. And just the disconnect. Well, I love what you just said, and I want to highlight that it completes stress cycles, right? Because in life we have these stress cycles, and they're sort of like open loops. Like we don't like open loops in our consciousness, but we have them in our body, and we don't know that they're there, right? And so it's like most of people that I know you work with, and that I work with, it's like we're trying to solve emotional problems from our head. If I can logic it out, and it's like the logic doesn't work. But the breath, like your body is an amazing tool, and it will complete the cycles, it will do the work, it will release all the things if you give it space, right? But it takes that active breath. And did you meditate before you started doing breath work?
I couldn't. I mean, I tried, but I couldn't get out of my head to be able to meditate. And I honestly was judging myself every time I went to meditate, because I'm like, I'm not doing this right. I'm not getting there wherever there is, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And no, meditating is really a struggle for me. The more that I breathe, the easier I'm able to meditate now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
I
yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody watching, if somebody's told you like, hey, you should meditate, and you try, right? And I always say meditation is a practice. Like I don't believe I'll ever get to the place where like the monks do, right? Like my brain is always there too. But I know that I've had so many clients that are like, I just can't meditate, right? Like I know I should. Breath is a beautiful thing that can take you into a different space where meditation, maybe you're just not quite there yet, or you can use the breath to get into meditation. And it's so like if you guys resonate with anxiety and overwhelm and not feeling safe in your body, and that shows up in different ways, right? Like for you, like a lot of your clients, what are their symptoms? Like what do they believe is going on that they're trying to solve? Do you have kind of an normal, or can you give us some examples?
Well, a lot of people just don't want to feel anything, right? We've been so programmed and conditioned to not feel anything, and we have all these stories around feeling sad is bad, or feeling angry like it's not healthy, or don't be mad, you know? And so when my clients come to me, I really just like to rewrite all of those stories and get clear on what the stories even are before we can rewrite anything. Because if you don't have awareness around it, you can't shift it.
Yeah.
So that it's just so important to figure out what are the stories in your going on in your mind, and whose stories are they.
Mm, yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, I appreciate this so much. It's just been so fun to see your transformation and your joy and just your excitement for what you do. I love your mission and what you're doing. So tell the listeners, how can they get in contact with you? What kind of things are you offering right now? And where should they find you?
Yeah, so I'm active on Instagram. I'm active on Facebook, Montana Aiello, both of those. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast called Hire You Podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple, iTunes, podcast, but however you listen to it on it's Apple. um,
Where it is,
and
you know where to find it.
yeah. If you listen to podcasts, I'm there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Perfect. And you're doing mostly some breath and some coaching. What are you
Breath
offering?
and Yep, some breath and some coaching. I am offering a 90-day coaching program that I am about to launch. It's called Embody You, and we're really going into all the limiting beliefs. We're going into like resource and connect to our inner children, connect to our higher self, really just integrating all of these parts of us. And then I'm also offering an 8-week breathwork series all on body connection. And I'm so excited about that because that's everything to me.
I love it. And when you do breath, do you do movement too with your clients or just for yourself?
Yeah, I start pretty much all of my clients at every session before we go into any breath. We start with movement. It's the best way to get into the body.
Yeah,
Movement
exactly.
is the language of the body.
Exactly. We're not meant to just sit here. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for joining us, you guys. Go connect with Montana. She is amazing. She's incredible. I'm so glad we got to connect. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
You're welcome.